Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And today I want to give you my patch note breakdown for update 3.6. However, because of the loot box fiasco, I can do it in-game with you because the update is already live for patch 3.6. Before we get into the details of that, I want to make it clear that although I will be covering the details of this update and giving you guys tips or ideas or my thoughts on characters, I do not support this method of character acquisition that Netmarble has introduced, and I am still 100% dedicated to the boycott of this update and the false, wrong practices that are being committed by Netmarble. I will not be spending any crystals. You can monitor my crystal amount on this account. It will never go down. It will only go up from collecting daily and weekly crystals, and my VIP level will never change past 293, 585 until this gets changed for the better.
It's not about money, it's about sending a message. Everything burns.
Additionally, I want to just reiterate and double down on my opinion that this ultimate hero chest is a disgusting aberration. It is a festering disease in this game, and it should be cut out like a tumor in a healthy person's body. That's how I feel about this chest. Additionally, I just want to make it clear for any of you who had even the slightest inclination to purchase this, if you go over to the available characters list, you'll see that almost all of the characters in the game that are not native tier 2 or X-Men or bio subscription characters, which still leaves like 100 characters, are available to get in this chest. So you have a very good chance of being royally screwed and completely wasting your crystals. Do not believe the rumors that you will be guaranteed a certain hero or you have to get one of the new characters. There is absolutely no guarantee whatsoever. This offer is worse than previously thought of in the patch notes. The patch notes previously did not mention that other characters were available. I was upset when I thought you could only get 5 characters: AntMan, Nova, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Blue Marvel. Turns out you can get 100 characters. This chest is beyond reprehensible. Don't be fooled. Moving on. Taking into consideration the new characters, I want to do a very quick breakdown of their skills and then give you my opinion on the different abilities and what we can expect from these characters. Nova, we know, is one of the infamous kind of uber paywall characters, so we're not going to see many of these around, but it is possible that he could take over for the Universal Hero Day, given the fact that he is a new Universal type, he's a hero, and given some of his abilities. His leadership is quite terrible. Let's get that out of the way. It's just not good. His tier 1 passive is pretty good. His tier 2 passive is quite good. 30% ignore dodge, 30% increased guaranteed crit, and then the extra damage. His skills, once you check them out, are actually quite strong. He's got skills that have lingering damage, especially his 5th skill, Nova Force. It leaves a giant AoE, which is going to do a lot of damage. It's going to clear out a lot of mobs, and you can cancel it into other skills. He's also got a channeling skill on the 3rd, which is Nova Blast. I believe a couple of these skills, yeah, it's number 2 at least, will have the ignore targeting effect. So this will have the same effect as Cyclops' 3rd skill, where you can cast it on someone who is iframing and it will still hit them. So that's a very good skill to have, and it just, you know, decreases the value of spamming iframes because you will be punished. Rocket Blast could be a good damage skill. It seems pretty decent. It just has a long kind of animation. But overall, I think Nova appears to be a strong character. Definitely not, you know, meta-defining or meta-breaking in any way. He's not going to compete with the likes of Jean Grey and Quicksilver, but I think he'll be a welcome addition once, you know, Netmarble changes their mind and goes back on this character loot box BS and allows everyone to collect this character. You'll be, you know, happy to have him on your squad. Until then, you can just appreciate how short he is, because he's really short. Next up, we have AntMan. AntMan is the other kind of paywall, never going to see this character unless they change the loot box system. He's a little bit stronger than Sam Alexander, I would say. I think that AntMan has definitely the possibility of taking over, definitely trumping Dormammu, potentially trumping Thanos as well. His leadership is quite scary. All allies get a 45% increase to all attack. That is the maximum amount of all attack for all allies that we've ever seen in the game. There's only currently one character that has this effect, and it's Magneto, and it's only for mutants. So the fact that this applies to everyone immediately makes him arguably the best leadership in the game, or one of the top 5, which is a big deal. His first passive is pretty good. It's defensive, but it automatically triggers every 5 seconds, gives him a small heal. Could have bigger numbers, but I think it's decent. His second passive is much better. He cannot be debuffed. So Thanos' first skill debuff, Doctor Strange's second skill debuff will not take away his buff effects at all. In addition, 30% guaranteed crit and 20% guaranteed crit damage is very high. He's going to hit like a monster. In addition to hitting like a monster, his third skill and his fifth skill both give him buffs, including an all defense buff, and then we have a crit rate buff. So he's really going to have monster stats. In addition, his fifth skill is a combination of Storm's fifth skill and Jean Grey's fifth skill. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go into the skill preview, you'll see it. So that looks like it's going to do a crap ton of damage. His fourth skill also looks like it's going to do a lot of damage. Again, it's a channeling skill, so you'll be able to cancel the fifth one into the fourth one. It also gives him super armor, so it's very much like Jean Grey's third skill in that sense. And then his other skills are pretty decent as well. His first skill is probably the only one that doesn't look very cool as far as the animations go, but you have to remember that this is the skill that gives him immunity plus the damage buff. So you would probably cancel 1 into 5, cancel that into 4, and then just go bananas on 4, or you could sprinkle in 3 for the damage buff and then go back into 4 to finish off your combo. I think AntMan is going to be the one that comes out ahead of Nova for this patch, but both of these characters are kind of in the dumpster for me because they're not available to all of the intelligent players in the game, and so I'm, not going to talk about them any more than I have to. Then we have Quasar. I think Quasar is probably going to be kind of the weak link of this update if Miss America is not. Quasar's leadership is terrible. It's just not used anymore. Her first passive, however, is very strong. She basically has 150% of her HP on all the time. She has a pretty low base HP for a universal type, but it's still worth noting that she's going to have basically an extra 50%. And I know there's a cooldown time of 6 seconds, but it's a very strong passive. Then she has 30% guaranteed dodge, and that actually synergizes with her 50% max HP. So it's going to be very hard to hit her, and then when you do, you might just trigger her passive and give her even more HP. So any of your lingering damage effects and stuff like that are just going to be absorbed into her quantum shield. So she's got some pretty curious and kind of interesting defensive synergy going on. Then her skills are actually pretty cool. They have kind of annoying wind-up iframes where you kind of wait for a half a second or a second and then the iframe happens, especially on her fourth and fifth skills, which I don't like. As you can see, there's also not a lot of text. She only has a stun on her second skill and the immunity on her third skill. So I'm a little bit disappointed that there's no buffs, there's no like crowd control aside from the stun, and I'm just generally not that pizzazzed about Quasar. It looks like she's going to need immune to guard break. It looks like she might need as well max attack speed to take advantage of the fact that she has kind of slow wind-up animations. Doesn't seem to be too powerful for a universal type, and for a paywall character, she is the paywall character, a la Hyperion, Kid Kaiju, Spider-Man 2099. But we'll have to wait and see just how good the damage numbers are. I don't have a BIOS subscription, and I will not be getting one until Netmarble lifts the ban on AntMan and Nova, so I won't be able to know for myself. Then we're going to talk quickly about Miss America, one of the characters that is absolutely free to play, and this is fantastic. She's got a decent leadership. 24% all attack plus 6% dodge is a buff over the 24% all attack that we have for characters like Hulkbuster, Ultron, and Hyperion. Those last two I recently tier 2'd. Yes, I now have tier 2 Hyperion and tier 2 Ultron. The first passive is pathetic. 3% crit rate is a joke, and if you listen to the next character's 4-star passive, you'll understand why this is honestly a giant head scratcher. I don't understand who at Netmarble thought this was a good idea. 3% crit rate. These are numbers that we saw from debut characters when they were first introduced into the game in April of 2015. So how this gets into the game at this point with all of the power creep is beyond me. It's almost like they're trying to make bad characters. Then her tier 2 passive gives her super armor, which is nice, all defense 25%, and then bonus damage. But the real gem here is the decreased physical damage by 50%. That's very good, very strong, and it's going to be interesting to see just where America Chavez fits, because as a combat type, and as a combat type with a very powerful 50% physical damage reduction, she could become a pretty decent counter to speed type physical characters, whether it's villains like Vulture or heroes like, say it with me now, Quicksilver. Yes, I am guessing that America Chavez might be good. I'm guessing that she might be good against Quicksilver. We'll have to wait and see. As far as her skills go, she has a lot of partial iframes, which is pretty cool because she kind of teleports with these star-shaped America teleports and kind of rifts. I think it's pretty interesting. Otherwise, not much to write home about. She's got 2 stuns and she's got 3 seconds of damage immunity on her 3rd skill. Her 5th skill has lots of iframes. It's very cool. She zips around a lot. It's like Hyperion or Rogue's 4th skill with a lot more movement, so I really do enjoy that. I actually like her animations, and I think she might be the sleeper character of this update that people are not expecting to be good, but who actually carves out a pretty powerful niche for herself. Then finally we have Blue Marvel. Now, some people are going to be confused about Blue Marvel and how myself or others are able to get him to 6 stars, get him to tier 2. Blue Marvel is available immediately at 6 stars once you complete the story mode mission. However, after that, you can only get his bios from the character bullshit ultimate chest, the one that I've been deriding and saying is garbage and it's predatory and it's a scam by Netmarble. But you can use a Mega Tier 2 ticket on him to kind of avoid that. So for all of you out there who have a Mega Tier 2 ticket and who can get Blue Marvel by completing Chapter 13, you can totally max out the character until he gets a uniform without purchasing that bad, awful, terrible crystal loot box. So you can do that. Don't feel bad about it. You can still support the boycott while getting, I think, a very powerful character. And Blue Marvel is very powerful basically because of his passive. His first passive decreases all incoming damage by 70%, which is unheard of. The most any character has, I think, is 35%. So this is double what anyone else has. Yeah, that's crazy. His leadership, pretty good. All defense, 50%. You're probably going to want to use his leadership. As you can see, his stats are actually not that good. His physical defense and energy defense are pretty low at 4,000 apiece. But once you counter in his passive and once you factor in his leadership, it's really going to add up. His tier 2 passive is quite strong. It's got 70% chance to penetrate, barrier, and all damage immune, which we know is super meta right now with Quicksilver, Cable, Scarlet Witch, Jean Grey. And then he's got super armor, and he's got increased skill damage and bonus damage. I don't understand the all defense plus 5%. It's kind of a joke, but whatever. So we know off the bat that Blue Marvel is a super tank. Now he's got some iframes, he's got some pretty cool skills. His 5th skill, kind of like Nova's, it just creates a lot of blue waves and kind of energy, and it also gives him a pretty radical buff. He's got a channeling skill as well like Nova. They're very similarly designed. And then he's got another buff on his 3rd skill, kind of like AntMan with 2 buffs. And then he's got some other skills. He's got some iframes. He's got some cool animations. I've heard some preliminary kind of rumors that Blue Marvel has low damage, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did have because of the decreased damage received by 70%. You know, if he did a lot of damage and he also had that much defense, he would be kind of an unstoppable force and he would probably rise to the top of the meta. It will probably be interesting to see how strong you can make your Blue Marvel. So what I would say is, if you want to experiment with the character, build him offensively and see how much you can get away with, how fast he dies, how long he can survive. And then if he still can't kill anyone, if his damage is really that pathetic, then we'll just build him as a super tank, damage absorbing sponge machine. But I don't expect Blue Marvel to be the dominant universal hero because of Nova, and because of the fact that Nova is the super premium Netmarble gold-plated Ferraris character. So, you know, it wouldn't make sense for Netmarble to kind of kill their prized pony by making a free character more powerful. So I don't expect Blue Marvel to be as powerful as Nova, so I don't really see a huge shakeup in the meta given these characters, but I do see some interesting additions to the meta, both offensively with someone like AntMan, potentially Miss America, and then defensively with someone like Blue Marvel. I don't have high expectations right now for Quasar, and then Nova's kind of a question mark right now. Lastly, I do want to briefly talk about the story mode, because a few people have expressed confusion about it. When you complete these missions, you will get rewards, Uru, character bios. When you complete the last mission, 13-8, for the first time, you will get 2 rewards. You will immediately get a 6-star Blue Marvel, which is why I have that character at 6 stars, level 1. That's what you get. And then you will also get a CTP of energy. That is a reward that everyone gets. You can see here I have one already, but then if you go over to my Cable, who I have equipped with my original CTP of energy from the Hela cinematic battle, I now have 2 CTPs of energy. And actually, the one that I got from this mission is sadly a little bit better than the one that I have equipped, but that's okay. So all in all, it's not bad as far as the rewards for the story mission goes, but please don't give Netmarble any leeway. Do not take your foot off of the gas. A couple of CTPs and a couple of characters that are free do not take away from the fact that they are basically trying to poison this game from the inside out with this chest garbage. Keep your pressure on. Give this game 1 star in the App Store if that's what you want to do, if that's how you feel. And don't spend any money. Boycott update 3.6. Let me know what you think of this kind of patch note breakdown. Otherwise, I will be talking about the uniforms in a later video, although I will not be getting them personally. I'm going to have to do some other kind of testing to figure out everything I need to, and that's going to take a little bit more time, but I will be back with a report about the uniforms, so have no fear about that. Let me know what else you'd like to know about this update and how you feel regarding the boycott. Subscribe if you're having a good time, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.